What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have a bit of unfortunate news as undefeated 3-division world champion, who is currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence "Bud" Crawford, and undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol Spence Jr., who is top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world himself, may not ever come to fruition. As legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum, he states that until Errol Spence comes down to reality, he promotes Terence Crawford. Until Errol Spence comes down to reality and makes it a 50-50 fight, we'll never see Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence because, according to Bob Arum, Errol Spence doesn't want the fight. And also, with that said, this is a super fight. Bob Arum has admitted that this fight would do bigger pay-per-view numbers than a fight with Terence Crawford, and the fight that Terence Crawford is currently seeking. The #1 objective on Terence Crawford's paperwork is to face off against 8-division world champion Filipino iconic superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao. And now it's being noted that Terence Crawford, who was set to become a free agent in October, if he lands the fight with Manny Pacquiao, then Terence Crawford, there's a strong possibility, 80% chance that Terence Crawford is going to re-sign with Top Rank and Bob Arum, as Terence Crawford noted that he's loyal to Top Rank. He never wanted to leave Top Rank. He just wanted to get the big fights, make as much money as possible, and stay loyal to Top Rank. So with that said, according to reports, Terence Crawford, his #1 objective is to face Manny Pacquiao, as this has been his objective since 2015, since Bob Arum, promoter of Terence Crawford, he made mention of a possibility of having a fight between Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford when Manny Pacquiao was still signed to Top Rank and HBO at the time, then transitioned to ESPN. With that said, Terence Crawford says that that's a fight that he's been seeking out. That's a fight that he wants. It's a legacy fight, and the fight between himself and Errol Spence, he doesn't need that fight. He says that it's a fight that the fans want, but it's truly not a fight that he needs for his legacy, to earn big money, or, to be a super fight, essentially. Terence Crawford doesn't understand why the fans continue to say that this is a huge fight. Well, I have to beg to differ. Terence Crawford truly understands that this is a huge fight, because thus the reason why Terence Crawford is telling Errol Spence it has to be a 50-50 fight, because he understands the revenue, he understands the magnitude of the fight, and what it means to the sport of boxing. So he's very aware. I personally believe that Terence Crawford is posturing. I believe that Terence Crawford is trying to get Errol Spence to budge off of the 60-40 split that he's standing on the square with, because Errol Spence, as he noted in a previous interview a few months back, he stated that it's a 60-40 fight because the numbers don't lie. The proof is in the pudding. I'm doing bigger numbers than Terence "Bud" Crawford, which is 1,000% true. But with that said, Terence Crawford, he is solely focused on the skill set within the ring, not the promotion, not the star power outside the ring. He's solely focused on the skill set in the ring, and he believes that he'll knock out Errol Spence, but he doesn't believe that it's a big, according to Terence Crawford, he doesn't believe that it's a big fight as it's being stated. So Terence Crawford, he noted that his #1 objective is Manny Pacquiao. This has been his #1 objective since he made his debut at welterweight, and prior to making his debut at welterweight, when Terence Crawford was still, at junior welterweight, and Manny Pacquiao was still signed to Top Rank. Terence Crawford wanted this fight with Manny Pacquiao. He sees it as a legacy fight, as it is. The problem is Manny Pacquiao is 42 years of age. Terence Crawford is 33 years of age, okay? Manny Pacquiao is 9 years his senior. Manny Pacquiao is not a world champion anymore. And I believe that Terence Crawford is, misjudging, should I say, you know, the magnitude of the fight between himself and Errol Spence and what it'll do for his legacy. Because you see, he's going to be favored over Manny Pacquiao should this fight come to fruition. And Terence Crawford, should he beat Manny Pacquiao, he's not going to get the full credit that he thinks or believes that he's going to get from sharing the ring with Manny Pacquiao. Now, he may get more exposure than he does in his previous fights because he's yet to fight, as he stated in his own words, a Hall of Famer. He's yet to have that legacy fight, that high-profile fight, the big money fight. This is according to Terence Crawford in his own words. But he believes that this fight with Manny Pacquiao will do so. So does Bob Arum. Bob Arum stated that he believes that Manny Pacquiao will garner more revenue, bring in more money, but he believes at the same token that Errol Spence fight would do bigger pay-per-view numbers. Now, that's a bit of confusion for me because I thought that pay-per-view equals money. It equals revenue, right? But Bob Arum, he says that when it comes to merchandise and it comes to investment groups that are willing to fit the necessary bill for the purses for these fights, he stated that Manny Pacquiao represent a bigger number. So with that said, he believes that Manny Pacquiao is going to garner more money for Terence Crawford because he's going to attract investment groups that are going to be willing to put up big money for this fight. Manny Pacquiao is now seeking out $40 million for this fight. And the number I gather is $50 million as he's seeking $40 million and it's being reported that Terence Crawford will earn $10 million. So that is a huge difference in the split, okay? But obviously Terence Crawford, he values Manny Pacquiao's star power far more than he values Errol Spence's star power. And maybe because they're in and around the same class, okay? Well, Manny Pacquiao is a legend and is a historic icon in the sport of boxing. He's been boxing for quite some time. So maybe that's the reason why Terence Crawford values Manny Pacquiao's star power more than he values Errol Spence's star power. But as far as the fight goes and competitive-wise, on paper, Errol Spence is a far more competitive, bigger fight than Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. But Terence Crawford, he believes that Manny Pacquiao, that legend, will be the necessary nod he needs on his resume. He already stated that he's already currently a Hall of Famer. He says, if I retire right now, I'm a Hall of Famer. I don't need Errol Spence. Errol Spence retired right now. He's not a Hall of Famer. Well, I have to beg to differ because you look at the level of competition and Errol Spence has fought his last 3 fights, all Hall of Famers. He's going into a unification bout with Yordenis Ugas. He'll be a 3-belt holder and only 1 belt away from being undisputed. That coming up against Terence Crawford or Manny Pacquiao, who's the winner of that fight. Now the question is begged that is Bob Arum truly in contact with investment groups that are willing to put up this amount of money for this Terence Crawford-Manny Pacquiao fight. Manny Pacquiao is still definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, a huge draw. He's definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, a global superstar. So you put him in the ring with a guy, like Terence Crawford, and it stands to do, big numbers, especially if the fight, according to Bob Arum, he wants to fight and Manny Pacquiao and Team Pacquiao, the fight could take place in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai in May. Okay, so the issue is the super fight that the fans want, the super fight that the sport of boxing needs is Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., and that doesn't seem to be a huge objective for Terence Crawford. That doesn't seem to be, at the top of the list for Terence Crawford, to-do list for Terence Crawford. It seems like Terence Crawford is completely frustrated with the Errol Spence saga, and it seems like he is now threw his hands up and no longer, in hot pursuit of a Errol Spence fight. He stated once again he doesn't even need Errol Spence. All his focus is Manny Pacquiao. I'm of the belief that there's a strong possibility maybe Terence Crawford, he retires after the Manny Pacquiao fight, okay? Terence Crawford, he stated he wants to stay loyal. He stated in a previous interview before that he don't even know where the talks came from about him leaving Top Rank and signing with anybody else because he's loyal to Top Rank. He's loyal to Bob Arum. He stated that, he understands that Bob Arum's frustrated because Bob Arum simply is trying to make the big fights for him. But in the same token, he's not taking into account that Bob Arum also stated that he was the reason why Terence Crawford has been waiting for 7 years to fight Manny Pacquiao because, as Bob Arum put it, he prevented the fight. He stopped the fight from happening because for two reasons. He didn't want to pay Manny Pacquiao $20 to $25 million he was looking for to fight Terence Crawford. And Manny Pacquiao being a good friend of his and agent, that he didn't want to see Manny Pacquiao in a vulnerable position and possibly hurt. This is what Bob Arum stated. So now it seems as if Bob Arum may have had a change of heart, and he's looking to put the fight on. Bob Arum stated that the fights with Keith Thurman and Adrian Broner for Manny Pacquiao, he garnered $20 to $25 million, but it wasn't worth it. They didn't get a return on their investment, and he was just happy that he didn't have to fit the bill. So I'm curious to know, what was the change of heart? Is it because Terence Crawford, because Bob Arum just recently stated he's lost so much money on Terence Crawford, he could build a mansion in Beverly Hills from scratch. So with that said, what is the change of heart? Since Terence Crawford is a free agent in October, but according to these reports, he lands the Manny Pacquiao fight, as I suspected. I talked about this on my live stream yesterday, and I said that if Manny Pacquiao fight comes to fruition for Terence Crawford, there's a strong possibility, I believe, that he was signed back with Top Rank. And now the talk is, the reports are, it's 80% chance he'll sign back with Top Rank should he land a Manny Pacquiao fight. He just wants Bob Arum to continue to pursue the biggest fights possible for himself in his career. Well, the biggest fight possible currently would be Errol Spence. But that's not a fight that Terence Crawford is no longer interested in. Ironically enough, he's tired of the Errol Spence saga, but he's been chasing and dealing with a saga for 7 years with Manny Pacquiao, and he's not tired of that chase. So let's see how this unfolds. Let's see if he actually gets the fight. We have two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter waiting in the wings. Should the negotiations, or should I say the Manny Pacquiao fight, not come to fruition, Shawn Porter is the WBO mandatory challenger for Terence Crawford. So that's waiting in the wings. Bob Arum stated that he has talked to Kenny Porter, father, trainer, and manager of Shawn Porter, about a possible showdown, and they just have him on standby. If the first objective is to secure a fight with Manny Pacquiao, if that's not going to happen, then he gets a fight with Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter gets his opportunity to fight Terence Crawford for the title. Now that's interesting, because if the Pacquiao fight doesn't come to fruition, where does Terence Crawford stand? Because then you're still going to need that Errol Spence fight that you're saying you no longer need. Where does that leave Terence Crawford as far as signing back with Top Rank? Because he still would be void of that legacy massive showdown. Not to say that Shawn Porter doesn't represent that, but Shawn Porter doesn't represent the same opportunity that Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence represents. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.